What's up, everybody? Hey. How's everybody doing? All right, let me get a couple of things up here on the screen. Give me a second. Let me make sure I'm live. And I am. All right, hold on a second. Hey, wow, everybody's popping here. Hello. Hello, hold on a second. Let me get the comments up here so I can see them. Oh, you guys are so sweet. You guys have been sweet all day. Thank you. All right, hold on. Let me get all this stuff straight out up here on the screen. Give me a second. Come on. All right, all these updates. Give me a second, everybody. So I can see your comments, because after what I got to say, a lot of people are going to have comments. I already know it. So that I can see them, let me get all the credentials up here. Goodness. I just did a major update on this thing, so it's asking me all kind of questions. There we go. All right. Okay, now I can see your comments. So say hello so I can know who's here live, so I can say hello back to you. There really is no easy way to say this, so I'm just gonna say it so I can be out your way, because I don't want to prolong the time or waste anybody's time. So I'm gonna say what has to be said at this stage of the game and get out of here. It's true. What I posted this morning is true. The journey of the meetings, good Lord, really? It's been a long day. The journey of meeting of the Minds radio show is ending. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Charmaine. Great to see you, ladies. Thanks for being here. Yes, it's true. The journey of meeting of the Minds radio show is ending. But here's the great news. The journey of meeting of the Minds is not. The journey of meeting of the Minds radio show is what I started to call my show when I went into radio. It's only fitting, right? But those of you who have followed me since day one, back in when the show first started, January 2014, you know this show has gone through many changes, from the dismantling of the co-host, on the show, to being at the first radio show that we were with for like 19 months or so, to leaving there and then going back to square one again for a few months, and then joining the radio station with whom we are with currently. And there's just been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of me praying and talking to God. Hello, Gwendolyn. Me praying and talking to God, and God saying, Kim, look, He's put me in a season where I've had to make some major decisions, okay? Let's just keep it real. And in the fourth quarter of last year, I did a prayer. And I should really listen to my grandmother, because this is something she's told me ever since I was a little girl. And she said, Kim, you have to be careful what you pray for, because your words, your prayers have power, and they have a way of getting to God. And I prayed a prayer in November of last year. And it was a very specific prayer. And to kind of give you a summary of the prayer, I prayed to God, and I asked God, I said, God, if there's anything that I am attached to that is not conducive to your word or to your way or to your will, please separate it from me. And then I said, God, if there's anything attached to me that's not conducive to your will or to your way, to your word, please separate me from it. And as I prayed that prayer, I said some major words in that prayer. I told God, I said, God, if there's anything, please reveal it unto me and give me the direction from which you will have me go. Hi, Tasha. When I prayed that prayer, God didn't answer. I didn't see anything change until the beginning of this year. The beginning of this year, God started waking me up and started giving me different visions throughout the day of different people and different places and different things. And one of the main things He kept knocking and kept waking me up dealt with the journey of meeting of the Minds radio show. Now, I've been in radio ever since June of 2014. And like I mentioned earlier, I've been with two radio stations. Both of them are gospel radio stations. And I've also shared already that I've come to a point with the current radio station that I'm a part of that it's time for me to shift again. Now, let me say this first and foremost. This has nothing to do with Minister Jeffrey Moore. He has been a true God sent to me. I've learned so much under him. He's covered me in prayer. He's like my brother from another mother. So this has absolutely nothing to do with him. He couldn't have done anything better had he tried even more. Every time I was on air, he was right there. Anytime we had an issue, he was right there to fix it. He was there all the way and continues to be right where I need him to be, doing exactly above and beyond what Kim requires of him. So this recent news, this recent change that I'm about to tell you about has absolutely nothing to do with Minister Jeffrey Moore. The Healing Keys Network, Praise Orlando Radio has nothing to do with them. So let's just make that clear. However, when God started to show me certain things, there are only certain things that Minister Moore can do. There are other things that are above his head, things that I require, things that God has shown me I need to know. I'm getting certain questions from viewers about certain things that I, at my level, cannot answer. And so when I prayed that prayer in the fourth quarter of last year, God started to reveal some things that I had to address. And when I addressed those things, the answers I received, God had already told me before I even started to address them what was going to happen as a result. And just like many of you, I drug my feet. I bit my tongue. I just kept praying about it, and God stopped answering because he had already answered it previously. And so I had to go back and I had to say, you know what, Kim, it's time. It's time for you to really listen to God and get to the bottom of what's bugging you, get to the bottom of what's going on. Because I kept getting questions from people that wanted to do things with me and I didn't have the answers. And anybody that knows me personally, I don't like having answers of things I should know. And so as I started to dig, as I started to go into counsel, and I started to pray and meditate and fast on everything that was going on, God started to reveal to me exactly what I needed to do. And so God came to me 3 different ways about one thing I needed to do. And I needed to do it quickly, swiftly, without any further delay. Somebody asked me where did I first start out. And I started out on YouTube, okay? Like a lot of people, I started out on YouTube. Well, lo and behold, about a year and a half ago, one of the viewers was watching the Journey of Meeting of the Minds, one of our early shows when we were only on YouTube, way before we got into radio. And this particular person, whom I do not know, I actually had to go back and see who they were. But this particular person mentioned to me that they really wish the Journey of Meeting of the Minds was in another type of platform. This was a year and a half ago. And I said, yeah, nah, I'm good. I'm not doing that. I'm in radio. Hi, Desiree. I'm in radio. I'm good. I love radio. So I brushed his comment off. Few months later, my husband started saying the exact same thing. Now, I've never told my husband what this viewer had said. So my husband started saying, Kim, you really should put your show here. You really should do this with your show, right? So we started having those discussions, and I said, no, I'm good. I'm going to stick with the radio. Okay. Well, about a couple of weeks ago, at the church I've started to attend, a member, an elder came up to me. He says, hey, you have a show. I said, yes, I do. He said, what's the name of it? I gave him the name of the show. I gave him my business card as well. And he says, I really wish your show was on this particular thing I'm going to tell you guys about in a few minutes. The same thing the viewer from YouTube said, the same thing my husband had been saying. Here is this elder from the church saying the exact same thing. These are 3 different occasions, 3 different years, actually, 3 different times, 3 different people who don't even know each other said the same thing. It wasn't until recently, after the recent developments at the station that I am with now, when I got to the point of where I said, okay, God, what is it you would have me do? My mind went back to the thing my grandmother said. She says, Kim, when you talk to God and God is not answering you and he's not saying anything, you have to go back to the last thing he told you. And so as I started to go back in my mind, I remembered, I said, you know what? God has came to me in 3s. He came to me in the name of the Father. He came to me in the name of the Son, and he came to me in the name of the Holy Ghost. That's how I pictured it. And I said, if he said it already to me 3 times, I've got to listen. But you see, I am Kim, and I can be stubborn and I can be hard-headed. And I started looking at the things that I would be giving up if I walked away at the time that I should have walked away. And I kept saying, no, I can't do it now. I can't do it now. And I kept coming up with these different reasons as to why. And just like you, I'm human. So I started to look at the numbers as to what was, being promoted, what's being said, how many viewers were, the places that I'm being heard at, and all these things. I got caught up in all of that stuff, right? But then I had to realize I had to stop looking at what I think I'm giving up versus what God has for me on the other side. And so I started to pray, and God said, you know what? Let me make the nest a little tight for you. So he started messing with all kinds of things that was happening in the back office. Okay, things that I could not control, things that had the answers that a lot of people were asking me about that I didn't have. He just started revealing a lot of stuff. Let's just say that. He just started revealing a lot of stuff to me. And it got to a point where I couldn't deny what was in front of me anymore. And I had to make a decision. So as I sit before you all tonight, I want you to understand what I'm about to say to you is something that has had to be done. And I've gotten to the point where either I move now or God is going to continue to make this thing here tighter and tighter. And I've shared with you who follow me all the time. I've shared with you tons of times that I'm tired of getting spanked by God because I'm looking at things from the wrong angle. And so what I've decided to do is to end the Journey of Meeting of the Minds radio show with the Praise Orlando Network that falls under the SIBN, which stands for Streaming Inspiration Broadcast Network, effective April the 10th. Now, some of you are saying, Kim, why effective April the 10th? Well, prior to the latest details and the latest issues that I've had to go through, I still have guests lined up. One of them have decided today, after hearing the news, she's decided that, she's not going to be a guest. She's just going to go. And I said, that's fine. I don't, have anybody on contract to be a guest here. And I said, that's fine. But I had to let my 3 remaining guests from now until April, let them know what was going on this morning. One of them that is confirmed for tomorrow. Tomorrow's show is still going live. So I didn't post the banner yet because I wanted to do this first. Her show is still going live. She's rocking with me to the end, till the wheels fall off. So she will be here tomorrow. I'm still waiting for my guest for the following Tuesday to confirm if she's going to stay and remain. But here is the great news in all of this. Before all of you, I've seen a lot of sad faces. I've seen a lot of wild faces when I posted this morning. I want to rest assure you that the journey of meeting of the minds will continue. It's just that right now, after 2 radio stations, both falling under the same genre, God had to show me that what I'm about to do now is the next step into my destiny. And I had to look at this thing the way God had me look at it when I was in tears. And I said, man, I really don't want to end this. God had to show me something. Like I told you earlier, I started out on YouTube, right? With 0 followers. I had a panel of women with me. Nobody knew who we were. We just started doing what God had called us to do. And then 6 months into the show, the first radio station, contacted us. We joined forces with them. We became a radio show broadcast on that particular network. See, then God took me from there, took all the co-hosts away. I left the radio station, started this thing on my own, changed the format of the show to meet where God was taking us at that season. And then a few months later, we joined forces where we are now. And we've been with them ever since November 2016. Every single stage represented something. And this is what I had to get. And this is what I want you to understand. Those of you that's in media, those of you that's trying to build a business, here is something I need you to understand. And I need you to get this clearly. Every stage that I have gone through with this show was designed by God. It was destined by God. There were days I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And God said, no, I have not released you from the journey of meeting of the minds yet. Because I was looking at it from the wrong set of eyes. When I closed my eyes and I started to look at everything from a spiritual standpoint, I had to get a clear understanding as to what was going on. And here's what I learned. God took me from, let's say, the basement. That's what I would say YouTube was. That was the basement. That's where we did a lot of grinding at. And then he moved us to radio, the first station. That was us moving up to the first level. Okay? We got to the first level, did what we had to do on the first level. Then God said, you know what? I need to do some renovations on the first level. I'm going to need you to go back to the basement. Okay? Exactly. Doing exactly what God has instructed me to do. So he moved me back to the basement, meaning I left the first floor, right? Which was the first radio station, went back into the basement, back to YouTube, back to the hangout settings, right? By myself and some guests. right? Then when God finished the construction on the first floor, he opened up the door again. I walked through it, walked right into where I am now with the Praise Orlando Networks, walked into that, back on the first floor, but I had access to the second floor, meaning what? I grew. I grew in reach. I grew in influence. So now I had access not only to the first floor, but I had access to the second floor. I get on the second floor, things are going great. Then God now says, Kim, I need to do some further construction. So now God has not even knocked me down to the basement. He's knocked me down now to the very foundation of which this house stands. The very foundation of which the journey of meeting of the minds stands upon. See, God has taken me all the way back to the night that he gave me the vision of the show. See, some of y'all, you got to go back to the foundation. Some of you, when things happen, you forget, you get distraught, you get all mixed up, you just all over the place. And God said, no, baby, I'm not leaving you. You're not leaving or dropping what I gave you. I gave you this gift, not you yourself. And so here I was thinking, here we go again. I'm going back to rock bottom. God said, this ain't rock bottom. This is building season. God said he had to take me back now to the foundation of what the journey of meeting of the minds stands for. All the switching up and down the levels had me just all over the place. And God said, when you're all over the place, I got to take you back to the foundation so you can understand where I'm trying to get you to go now. And so what God has been trying to tell me today is something that he may be telling somebody else. See, God is testing me right now. He's testing to see if Kim can do better with what she already has. That's what he's doing. If you can do better with what I've already given you. And like so many of you, I found it so easy to take what God had given me and attach it to other people's things because I figured it would be a great fit. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in radio broadcast all over the world, right? It seemed perfect. But then God says, Kim, it's time in this season that I have you going into. Everything you've gone through. It's now time for Kim to respond to what God is telling me to do. And the only way I can respond at this time, these 4 years of doing this show, is to get to a place and own it. I don't own the first radio station I was a part of. I don't own this current radio station that I'm a part of. But God has positioned me to grow, to learn, both physically, both spiritually, both business-wise, mentally. He's allowed me to grow and to learn how to run this thing and to own it. I'm not at the season anymore where when somebody asks me about my own show, I can't answer the question because that portion of the show is not in my hands. It's time for me now, along with my Heavenly Father, to do this thing the way it was supposed to have been done at the very beginning. So now he's taking me to the foundation. He's telling me now to do what I told you, Kim, before. So those three things, those three people that God sent to me out of nowhere, that said the exact same thing, now I'm going to do what God has called me to do. What he's told me to do. Not once, not twice, but 3 times from 3 different people. The same thing. So now you're probably wondering, well, Kim, when you get to the point, what is it? Well, how should I say this? Well, just tell you. May the 1st. Exactly. You have to grow and expand from the foundation. Exactly. And see, what had happened was there was a major crack in the foundation that Kim did not see because I was wrapped up in other things, the oohs and the ahs of being in radio. And now that crack is starting the house to shake, and I got to go fix it. And so we're fixing it right now. That's why I'm having tonight's show. Thank you, Centrell. But here's the thing. Those three individuals that said this particular thing to me were absolutely right. And you, my viewers, who've been rocking with me since day one, it's time that I listen to you. This was not an easy decision, but when I see where God is taking this, it's the best decision right now. Now, I got to admit to you, before I tell you what's about to happen, I did try to leap out, and I did contact some other radio stations. But as soon as I did, God said no. And so I had to quickly just erase the email, some of the emails, and One of them had already gone forth, but God had already told me that was a big no, because I was supposed to do what he's telling me now to do. And that is, those 3 individuals told me to do this one thing, and here we go. Effective 1 May, the Journey of Meeting of the Minds will become a podcast. A lot of people have told me they wish my show was a podcast. They listen to podcasts when they go to work. They listen to podcasts when they're at work. They listen to podcasts while they sleep. And they would love to hear not only my story, but hear your stories in a podcast format. This was not an easy decision, like I said, because originally I was not a podcast listener. But God says you will do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. That's exactly what he has told me. So the Journey of Meeting of the Minds will be transferring into a podcast. We have new graphics. The show has been completely revamped over the last few weeks. I've been working really hard. Hey, Dr. Vibe. You got to get on my show. I've been working really hard behind the scenes. I've been talking to some great minds who've been doing podcasts for years. I got to talk to Dr. Vibe right there. Because we want to make sure we're doing this thing correctly. We want to make sure that we're bringing you the journey of meeting of the minds the way it was created to be brought to you. We're going to be covering topics, full topics. Like, we're going to be digging into some things that's going to make some of your wigs probably fly off. These are things that deal with life, things that deal with business, and things that deal with spirituality. We are going deep here on the Journey of Meeting of the Minds. And just like the name of the show implies, this is a mastermind. We're going to be covering some topics that a lot of Christians probably don't want to cover. We kind of brushed over them over the years, but no, we're going deep, because a lot of people's lives are at stake. A lot of people's businesses are at stake. And I cannot have you guys part of any foolishness and not be able to give you answers that, as a host, as a producer, as the creator, that I should not be able to give you. So effective April the 10th, that will be my last show under Pastor Jeffrey Moore, and with the Praise Orlando Network and SIBN, that will be our last official show there. The next couple of weeks after that, we'll be completely building out this show. We already have some shows already made. One of the shows was going to dig down and tell you exactly what has taken place, where I am now, what has happened throughout the entire show. We're going to take off the cover because I believe you need to know. Because one thing here on the Journey of Meeting of the Minds we have mastered, and that is telling you the unadulterated truth. The good, the bad, the ugly. Thank you so much, Debbie. Hi, Tahia. Hi, how are you? So I wanted to let everybody know, because, sometimes the grapevine can say, well, I heard, you ain't heard nothing. Because I just announced it. Yes, I am leaving the radio show arena, and I'm entering into the podcast arena. And anybody that's done podcasts at any point in your life, that arena grows and it grows and it grows. And so we're going to be growing. You guys are going to see us in apps. You guys are going to see us on certain screens. You guys are about to see the Journey of Meeting of the Minds just about everywhere you can look. So keep us in your prayer. Keep us in your prayer as we're going to this next level, as God is leading and guiding us. He's making new connections. He's leading me to different people that some I hadn't talked to in a while. Thank you so much, Margaret. But it's time. It's time. It's time. God said, Kim, it's time to own it. You the producer, own it. Every stage, every test, every trial, every tear I've cried, every bit of energy that I have invested into this show was done for this moment right here. We are ready to soar. We hope you are ready to soar with us. Stay tuned. Stay connected. If you're not in my Facebook group for the show, The Journey of Meeting of the Minds, get in the group. Because we're also looking at the Facebook analytics. Because that's another thing my team and I are trying to decide. If we're going to continue to live stream The Journey of Meeting of the Minds on Facebook or not. That's a big one. Some of us saying no, some of us saying because of the analytics, nobody's watching the show live. And then if I'm going into podcasting, I want you guys to go to the podcast area so you can download it. A lot of you have been asking, Kim, can I download my episode? Kim, can I download? Well, guess what? When we relaunch the show in podcast form, you will be able to download it. Yay! And it takes a lot of work off of me. So you will be able to download the shows as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I know a lot of you were like worried, like, Kim, what's going on? Don't worry. Just know that God is shifting, and it's time for me to take action on his shift. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. So just tell everybody Kim's shifting, and it's going to be bigger and greater than ever. If you want to be on the show during this launch, go to my website. Go to www.thejourneymastermind.com or www.sownonpurpose. If you on Sown on Purpose, you have to just click the radio show button. All these buttons are going to change it. Right now, it's still radio show button. Click there. It's going to take you to the same place as the Journey of Meeting of the Minds.com does. And it tells you right there how you can be a guest. Just look at the guest inquiry button that's there. Click there. Get on my schedule. Let's talk. If you're a perfect fit for the show, if you're a Christian businessman or woman, you have a story to tell, connect with me. I would love to talk with you. I would love to get you on the show. But as you guys know, the journey must continue. But I got to go now. There's some other people I got to go support tonight. But I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on, because many of you were either calling me on the phone or inboxing me on Facebook like, what? I can't believe it. Yes, the radio show portion of the Journey of Meeting of the Minds is ended, but the show will continue. I love you all. Thank you for all the support. Like I always say when I get ready to close, I hope you be blessed. Continue to be a blessing to others. And until the next time God allows us to meet, enjoy your journey.